back their demands for information for examining public projects and accounts. Nowhere is there a greater need for this than in the area of foreign direct investment. Here, every stage of the negotiations and agreement must be totally transparent to the public from first contact. It is our right. We must keep the fire so hot to the feet of our government members. They will remember who is servant and who is employer, and get no time to contemplate stupid moves towards dictatorship. For worthwhile change, the education system needs an educator Hercules to harness rivers of research and analysis on the Augean stables the system has become. You know the myth where the stables were so dirty, it was one of the 12 tasks of Hercules. He took some rivers and turned them on the stables, and that did the job. We must, whoever this Hercules is, have the courage to examine the leadership in the Ministry of Education and in the schools. Are they leading or even capable of leading? Have they been appointed because of their leadership abilities or because of ever-present tribalism? Let us demand changes in teacher training. This is a favorite subject of mine. Potential teachers should attain at least a bachelor's degree in their content area that they're going to teach, and then move on to a professional year like lawyers do. This way, we can better ensure that they really have mastery over the content they will be paid to pass on. And let us institute, oh boy, this would be so unpopular, a recertification program. Education must once more include the cultivation of the social self, which includes the inculcation of the notion of personal responsibility to self, neighbor, community, nation, and to peace. When I was growing up, my thoughts and worldview were not shaped by video games. Of course, video games weren't around, but by parental example, by the clan work ethics and storytelling, which included family history and heritage. There was no internet or video games. In fact, I was 7 years old before my parents could afford a television set. Oh, but life was filled with reading, grandparents, parents, and teachers who enjoyed reading and read daily. I was taught to recite poems, scripture passages, lines from great men and women, and books that elevated human potential and courage in the face of adversity. That put honesty and charity on a pedestal as the obligation of every human being. I am glad to hear that the much disputed Junkanoo Carnival, now, and you know I was going to say something about that, is going to be put in private hands. And I guess it will become a part of the web shop money machine. My concern is that public funds, instead, please don't tell me you spend $10 million and it wasn't for profit. So $10 million when we're already in trouble with every international financial agency in the world. We have spent the last 20 years running from FATF, OECD, you and me, whatever, IMF, and we can put money into the hands of someone who is going to say, $10 million of your money. Oh, you know, that we did not expect a profit. Why did you spend that money then? Anywho, the public money should be spent more on the things that I described above that will elevate public refinement, pride, consciousness of aesthetics, history, heritage, and societal obligations through the support of museums like this one, a national library. Where's the National Library? And archives that are well provisioned technologically and otherwise and accessible to all. Let's put the label Performing Arts Center on facilities worthy of bearing the name. Let's support schools dedicated to music, arts, dance, social, and science development. Particularly, we're running so far behind in science and math, you know? So the point is, oh, what we could have done with the 10 million. Of that 10 million, I would have given $1 million to Andrea. Should not have to go about begging for money to keep this place running, for God's sake. You know, it's a shame. Somehow, we would prefer to teach our children to put a price tag on everything or learn how to twerk in junior Junkanoo. Let's teach and demonstrate that lending a helping hand to those in need, environmental conservation, and all forms of honest community and national service are personal obligations. It's time to do more than name a few of the, rename the country's prisons and still make them nothing but breeding grounds for master criminals. Let's put vigor into rehabilitation if we're serious about reducing crime. Lastly, this is a favorite one of mine too. Let us come up with an immigration plan that is more than knee-jerk reactions propelled by narrow ethnocentrism to our detriment. What has made most of the powerful economies powerful is that they knew to identify and secure top talents from wherever they may be found. This can be done without denying the right of our homebred talent to primacy. Let's free ourselves from mental slavery, folks, and make emancipation and independence truer and more sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a good thing I was short, so she could have the time. And of course, none of our speakers are censored, as you can hear tonight. Okay, of course, the views and opinions of the speaker are solely theirs. And we have to say, because we are streaming, that these are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Bahamas Historical Society. But we certainly thank her, and of course, she will not be harnessed, and I always enjoy her talks. We have certainly had a walk down memory lane tonight. Past history, present history, and even future history. Thank you, Mrs. Meicholas. Please let's hear it for her. And we will entertain some questions now, if whoever has questions. You sit and receive
yes, sure. Yes, thank you.
Questions?
Not a question, but I'd like to nominate you to run for Fort Charlotte.
I spent many years of my life from the time we got that television set in Fort Charlotte. But the thing is, that would compromise all that I'm about. I do not want to sully my reputation, sully my conscience, because something happens. I see a lot of people I have had respect for in Parliament, but something happens when they go into that green room. I don't know what it is. It takes a very few to. I wonder if today we had the situation that we had in 1967, would there be any braining to cross lines, accept the speaker post, to institute majority rule? I wonder.
Do you think part of the problem is sometimes financial? People get so desperate.
It could be, you know, but the point is, the point is, you have to decide what you're going to stand for. I think the kind of input I have had, I have worked very, very hard. I mean, in my jobs and in doing community work, my writing and all of this. But believe me, I still struggle financially. Because I will not. I have had many offers, but no thanks. I got to live with myself. Yes?
Three of the cards resonated with me, and I wondered how you put them together. The first is insufficient mutual trust.
That's a big issue.
The second is lack of support for research.
Yes.
And I don't know whether you said it, but I definitely find it. Distrust of new ideas.
Very much so.
They're all related.
Yes.
And I would love to hear you comment.
Well, the thing is, we have such a difficult situation. The religion, someone once called me a heathen, and I'm anything else but, I'm not that. But the fact is, it has become an industry. Ever since, that we started to get these American televangelists, who really are big business people making fabulous amounts and all of that, it really, what they preach nowadays really skews people's views on life. I don't know what more I can say, but definitely the trust problem is a big one. The way that the separatism that is promoted by these groups, and the point is, don't tell me that these people don't understand what they're doing. But there you have it. I think we're in trouble. Yes, please.
I just wanted to say, this is timely for me. I just happened to be in a meeting last week where there were a number of teachers. And in the room was a young man who was head of the Parent Teachers Association. And he glowingly mentioned past students who are now members or within the political arena.
Right.
And it giving the impression that they're passing through that institution, made the institution that much better, and how proud we should be because it happened to pass through. In the same room were a number of teachers who went to that school and now teaching, and no mention was made of them.
That's incredible.
And really, to come here today to hear you as a teacher, to know them and his wife as teachers, I'd like to say, first of all, a round of applause to everybody who is a teacher.
Oh, I agree with that.
It's so important that wherever we hope, or whatever we hope to achieve, we won't achieve it unless we have teachers.
Oh, absolutely, and somehow, but let me ask you a question before I comment on that. Anybody given you an award, Skibo?
No, because that is not my purpose. My purpose is just
No. I am not talking about what you think your purpose is. You make my point. Has anybody awarded you anything for your community service?
No, but other than my friends here who brought me into the Historic Society and who I love.
Well, the thing is, I've known Jim and Ann for a very long time, and they deserve a round of applause.
The other point I wanted to make was the fact that I was once a civil servant for 20 years. And one of the things that come out now about this political appointees signing letter of
Yes.
and this politician doing that and the next. The fact that the individuals who run the ministries, as we talk about what we can do, I think it is incumbent upon all of us, when we sit down and do what we can, to have those who run ministries, from the permanent secretary down, and those who are directors, whose responsibility it is. Because these novices, and some of them ignorant, I agree, who come into the government and feel that they know it all, don't know it all, and the people who know it, who are the technicians and the administrators, should take their hand and insist that they be recognized as the people people very
Thank you.
qualified to run this.
Believe me, I have great respect because of the work that I do. Have met many a PS, many of those technicians and all of this. This country would fall apart without them and their discretion. Their very hard work that the people sitting in the green room take credit for. And many of them don't even understand some of those documents, haven't even read them in time for the debates and all of this. But these are the people who again and again, they garland Rawson Square with their faces. And we have to do more. And I used to say, why don't they? But for a long time now, I try to do what I can, and we have to take that attitude. So even standing as you have done to tell that little of that little encounter, and to ask us to applaud these people, even in that way, that helps to let people know we see what you're doing and we appreciate you. And I certainly appreciate that cadre of persons in those ministries. And not only do they have to do all the work, but they have to deal and sometimes severely hurt by politics. You always see this scramble of PSs, this one going that way and that way, and it has very little to do at times with where a person has the best expertise. So thank you for saying that.